So I took into account some of the things that you guys had asked for. I had asked you for some input last time, and I got some good feedback. And I'm actually working on some content for you guys specific to what you had asked for, but I don't have that ready yet. So today you're getting hodgepodge. All right. And so let me tell you kind of what we're going to cover, and then um, so I'm going to ask your indulgence and to bear with me just a little bit because I have to cover things at multiple levels. We have some people on this call that are this is going to be beyond your need in terms of comprehension, and then I have others that are brand new to this industry. So I'm going to try to. This one's going to be geared more towards the people that are at an entry level in terms of systems and technology. If you don't need this information, you're not going to hurt my feelings if you drop off. Okay. But today, what I wanted to cover, and it relates to what we covered last week in our foundations with tips and tricks and using some of the tools with regards to ShowingTime, with regards to Supra, and I thought I would actually demonstrate some of those for you guys and show you some tips and tricks. And even the advanced users can probably pick something up from this because there are things on here that I've discovered recently that I go, I had no idea that tool actually existed. So hopefully you will find that to be the case also. So we're going to talk a little bit about ShowingTime. And remember my failed attempt during the huddle last week to show you how to operate one of these. I might actually be able to do it this time and show you what I had intended to show you last time, because I finally figured out the login issue that failed me 2 previous times. So, all right, everybody with me today? All right, so let's do something. I want to show you one of the tips and tricks that we talked about last week in the agent best practices was building an itinerary for your client using Showing Cart. Okay, to that end, I'm going to dive in and I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to talk about options available for this purpose. Okay. Bear with me for just a second as I'm sharing the correct screen. Okay. Is everybody looking at Supra? Actually, let's just go to Matrix. Okay. Everybody looking at the Matrix?
Yes.
Dashboard?
Yes.
Okay. So there are a whole bunch of external links right here in this section of the FMLS Matrix dashboard that y'all should be very familiar with and should be able to access at any given time. Okay. Probably the ones that you're going to utilize the most are going to be actually ShowingTime. Most people just link to ShowingTime through through the ShowingTime link within an actual listing, but you can actually get to it straight from your score sheet here, from the dashboard here. The other one is the Supra Net, which is the web-based version of what you have on your phone in terms of your Supra e-key. And it can be very helpful, and there's lots of neat stuff I can show you within that too when we get there. Okay. Market Stats is another one that I use quite a bit that is very good. And for those of you like Guggen and who else is on the call that's brand spanking new that you might be doing FMLS training. The FMLS training classes, there's a direct link to get to the training classes, all right here from within Matrix. Okay. So first, we're going to go and dive into ShowingTime. Okay. ShowingTime brings you to within this main dashboard, and this is where you would go to change any of your settings, which I strongly recommend that you make sure that your profile is set up with your picture, with your contact information, and here's where you can access all of this information. Okay. And you can make sure you're updated and your headshot is in here, because your face is your brand. Whether you like your brand or not is immaterial. Um, it is how people identify you, and you need to make sure that your face is on everything. So when you are sending somebody an itinerary and you don't have your Facebook or your face headshot in there, you're losing an opportunity to build brand awareness, i.e., awareness of who you are and what you do. Okay. Within here, there is, when you do this initially, you're only going to set it up with FMLS. If anybody is both a member of FMLS and Georgia MLS, this is where you can add both to it. And it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I can show you how to do that sometime, but it's not going to apply to everybody. So it may or may not be necessary. Okay. But once in a while, you'll get a notification in here to make sure that your settings are correct, and you do want to go through and make sure that you have updated your information within here. But from within the home, we want to go to, say, for example, you're trying to set up a showing cart where you're going to see multiple properties. Okay, you can do so straight from within here. You go to showings and you go to showing cart. You can also see on these are any showings on my listings. I don't happen to have a listing right now because it just sold. You can see any of the showings that you have requested, which ironically I haven't done anything recently, so you're not going to see anything there. However, let's look at showing cart. I have a client that I am showing multiple properties to this weekend. This is a land client, and I've gone ahead and I've started building out a showing cart for this particular client. She's given me 2 addresses, or I had put in 2 addresses simply just from watching her activity on the MLS search. But I am going to add some more because she sent me an email over the weekend. All right, so we're going to use this as an opportunity to build out this itinerary. All right, so to that end, let me show you the best way to access the properties that she's already favorited. All right, so within your matrix, I'm going to show you another little thing. You can go to your contacts. Under my matrix, go to contacts, and it should default to any active contacts that you have with auto emails. Okay, so this is a good summary of all the clients that you have set up on auto email. All right, and the client that I am referring to happens to be this one, Miss Ruth, and you can see that I have at least 1 note that this person has left. She's favorited 4 houses. There are 8 possibles and 2 trash cans. All right. This is where it works best for you to train your client how to use this tool and to favorite homes that they like, because I can now come into here and I can go, these are the 4 homes that she has marked with a heart sign that she truly does like and wants to see. All right. And so now I can very easily come in here and say, all right, here's this first one. And look at the little link, schedule a showing. I want to schedule that showing. And normally most of us would just schedule a single showing. And they're like, okay, well, I'm going to schedule 5 single showings, but I forgot to plot it between the map. You don't have to do that. Showing cart does all that for you. I'm going to add this to showing cart. And if I was creating a new showing cart, I would create a new one here, but I've already had this one in here. So I'm just going to add to it to the tour that I'm scheduling on the 15th. Any questions? Have I lost anybody so far? Okay, so I'm adding this to the cart on the 15th, and I'm going to hit next. Okay, now I have the 3 properties in here. And you can go ahead and you can start plotting what times you're going to do them and reorder them. I'm of the mindset it just makes more sense to go ahead and and I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of the properties in here. Okay, so that's the first one. 0, did I already have this one in here? No, I don't have this one in here. So I'm going to schedule a showing, add it to the cart. Actually, it does look like it was in there. Yeah. So now I've duplicated it. I was thrown off by the fact that it said 0, but now it says 1756. So now I'm going to remove this one because I don't need it. So you notice you have the little remove button right there. So let's go back. Zero Shady Grove Church Road. I don't think that one was in here. Shady Grove Church, nope. All right, so I'm going to add that to the cart. Okay, and now you can start to see by looking at the map, I would be driving all over creation. I'd be going 1, 2, going right past 4, going to 3 and 4. Doesn't make sense, right? Well, let's finish getting all of these in here and then we'll reorder. Highway 136, did I have this one in here? I did not. Schedule a showing, add to the cart. All right, so now I have all of my properties in here. I did have it in there. Well, I'm just duplicating stuff all over the place. Okay, but now I have the 4 properties, okay? Now, does this make sense, this routing? Because there's gonna be 24 minutes between the first one and the second one, 16.2 miles. There's an hour and 8 minutes drive between the next one, the second and the third one, and there's another hour drive between the third and the fourth. This is not making very efficient use of your time or your client or your gas money, okay? So you could sit here and you could try to reorder these if you want, but let me show you this little smart route button right here is going to automatically route these in the most efficient, shortest amount of time and distance in between. And now it has reordered them. Here's the flaw in the system. Okay, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. It automatically leaves the first one as the first property. But in this case, the first one is in the middle, so that may not make sense. Okay, so therefore, I may want to start here and just go straight up this highway and do these in the correct order, which is perfectly acceptable. So I'm going to change number 4 to number 1. Number 3 is going to be number 2. Number 1 is going to be number 3. And number 2 is going to become number 4. And I'm going to hit the update. And now I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4. Does that make sense? That's just making the most efficient use of your time and energies. Unfortunately, there's an hour's drive between this one and this one. But in our case, because I'm looking at land and they have very specific criteria, there's not a better way to do this. Okay. So now I've got them in an order that makes sense. Now I need to schedule the appointments. Okay. Because these are land appointments, you don't notice that there's other appointments in here. If this was properties and there was other showings, you would see grayed out boxes where there's not availability. Does that make sense? But my client has told me let's start at around noon. So I'm going to start here at noon at the first property. And because normally I would do only a 30-minute window, but we're looking at land. Some of these lands are, they even tell me I've got to have a 4-wheel drive vehicle to get into them. So I might budget a little bit of extra time on some of these. So this one, I'm just going to do 45 minutes. Okay. Now I can look right here and I can go, there's an hour's drive between here. So the next appointment ends at 12:45. I don't want to do this one until 1:45. And again, because I'm gonna build a good 45 minutes into this as opposed to 30. Okay. Because it might take a little bit of time to find it. It might take time to open a gate, whatever. All right. Now I've got 20 minutes between this one and the next one. I want to make sure I'm probably going to round up to 30 minutes, and I'm going to give myself a 30-minute drive time between these. And again, I'm going to budget a full 45 minutes. And then there's 24 minutes between, so I'm going to go 30 minutes out. And I'm making it 45 minutes. Okay, so now you can kind of see visually how you've got these things spaced out. Okay. Notice all of them are appointment required. Realistically, I don't know, it's probably not realistic that every one of them is going to have to be approved. But when you're opening a Supra box to get into a front door, you would never go if something is not approved. Okay. So now that I have got these here, I need to request the appointments. All right. And fortunately, it's very easy to do by sending the requests right here. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and send the requests. And now I see the appointment has been requested. And now I will just wait for confirmations that this is going to be acceptable. If one of these was to happen to cancel, or this number 3 got denied or declined, I can very easily come in and remove it. Number 4 will become number 3. And I may want to even go ahead and change the time frame of this appointment, which you can easily do by selecting another appointment on this bar. And this is going to give you this little error message that says, if you reschedule, the original is going to be canceled. Okay, I'm not going to do that simply, but the capability exists within the system. All right. Any questions on this so far? Pretty cool system, right? I like it. All right, now I have, let's just go through the scenario. By the way, if you look at your email, I probably have a whole bunch of emails right now that indicate that, yeah, in fact, if you want to take a look, see all these ShowingTime on behalf of these people. These have all either requested, received, or approved. And I've even got some extra info for a couple of these properties where they're sending me the plat and the map and the seller's property disclosure, what have you. Okay. So every time you get approved or declined, or the appointment gets approved, you'll get an email for it also. But now that I have, let's just kind of play out the exercise. I've been approved for all of these. I now want to be able to present something professional to my client using the system. All right. So up here, you've got 2 icons. You've got a print icon, and now you can print an itinerary. You can print a couple of versions. There's an agent version and there's a buyer's version. The agent version has the Supra box details listed usually right here of how to enter into the property. And the buyer's version has blank space right there. I print a copy of this, one for myself and one for the client. And this client uses this space to keep notes on the property. And one of the techniques that I always use is, and Jessica talked about this in our last session, was on a scale from 1 to 10, what did you think of this property? 1 being no thank you, 10 being move in tomorrow. Okay. You can also show the map, and if you really want to, you can show the directions on here. So here's the directions turn-by-turn directions depending upon your client. Most people use GPS these days, but you can also print the map so they have a bigger picture of where they're going and what they're doing. Okay, so you want to print a copy of this, print the tour each time, and then you can also email. And so you would click here and you just type your client's email, and they're going to get an email that says, here's the link to the follow-up on this. And they can just click on this and they're going to be taken to a page that looks basically exactly like this. Any questions so far?
The only thing I'd say is I actually used it this weekend, and I gave my clients the printout, and I gave them a clipboard, and they really appreciated that because they put a bunch of notes, and then at the end of it, I took a picture of all their notes so that I could get an idea. We went to see 4 different houses, and I told them that they might forget by the time they leave, and it was really helpful to have this, and they were really impressed to see an itinerary printed out. So I'd say it really works well.
Seriously, your professionalism, goes way, way up. So the other thing that goes along with this is I love this because the MLS numbers for the properties are right here in the itinerary. So sometimes things get juggled around. You add one last minute, you remove one last minute. You can always just come in here, click, copy, paste, go back to here, go to your dashboard, add that one in here, and you can do a quick print off of this to take with you to the showing so that you have all of the pertinent facts and details by printing it. Make sense? Nice to know, right?
I do have a question.
Guggins. What's that?
I do have a question. If you drop off number 2 and you move everything around, do you have to go re-request the showing times?
Say that one more time.
Say number 2 gets canceled or they decide not to go and you move everything else up to a different showing time. Do you send out the request on that? And does it just send out the 2 that you changed, or does it send out all 3?
It only, if you change one, say for example, number 2, we remove number 2 and we move number 3 to here. When you do this appointment request is pending. Changing the time will reschedule your request. Are you sure you want to continue? This is where you would say okay, and then as soon as I do that, I hit okay. I think I can get out of this if I do this. So now I'm going to do it at 1:45 to there, and I hit save. It goes back to requested, and you have to send request again.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And now, for example, I've closed this out. I'm doing something else, and I need to go back, and I get, say for example, I get an email. Gee, the showing has confirmed. Did one of these decline? Let me know if you have any questions. Code for the gate. So I've got gate codes that are coming in from the listing agent. But say one of them canceled and I needed to go back into this, I would simply go back in through my showing time.
I didn't know about this at all.
Showings, showing cart, and now I can access, and I'm right back where I started from.
Do the dashboard where it's showing times over here.
Okay.
Like that. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You're unmuted now, Julia. So do you have a question? You're fine. It's all right. It's all good. We're all friends and family here. All right. Anything else? Is there anything I'm forgetting about some of you old heads that are on here? I think I've covered just about everything. And we have 3 minutes left, so I didn't get to the Supra, but let me show you very quickly how you can get to your Supra net. And this is the web-based version of what everybody has on their phone through eKey. And you can look at, if you have your listings, you can look at any reports, your settings and your billing and things like that. I don't have any in here, and I can, if you guys want to take 3 minutes, I can add an e-key to the inventory. It is not terribly difficult to do. In fact, let's just do this. Okay, hang on, let me unshare my screen. Okay, everybody see the numbers on the side of the box? Say, for example, I wanted to add this particular box to my inventory. Then I would just need the numbers off the code box on the side. And then I would also need the shackle code in order to, this is the shackle. And of course, this is the cassette, okay? The shackle is how you put it on a property permanently, and it is how you link it to your box. So let me go back to screen sharing real quick. Okay, everybody looking at the Supra again. And I want to add a key box. The key box serial number is 314038824. You need to know the shackle code, which in our case, in 99.9% of the time, is 7736. If you haven't written that number down, I would. The MLS number, if you knew the MLS number of the property already, if it was already in MLS, you can add it right here. If not, you can leave it blank to unassign it from a current listing, and you add that key box. And now you see that you have this key box, and it is not associated with a listing, but here are the key box settings, and this is the information that you might ever need. And if you were, you put this on your listing and you ever needed the CVS code to be able to share with an inspector for the buyer for your listing, this is where you would go to find this information. You can also see the battery, that this particular one has a 59% battery life. And you can also see that this has 24 access. There are no showing hours. This particular key box happens to be the one that is kept here in the office for use with the van. So it does not have any timed frames on this, but normally you would see 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. as the showing hours within here. This is the one little tip and trick that I love showing notifications for an individual key box. Send me showing notifications for this particular key box. I want to know when an agent has opened my key box.
Well, no, take your time. I mean, you're driving. Don't worry about it. You can just...
So if you just simply click right there, it will be there. Okay. You can also send a copy of this. Say, for example, your seller wants to know they've got a house full of 3 kids. And when the wife goes grocery shopping on Saturday morning, and there are scheduled showings during the time when she's out, she wants to know if she can go back in order to unload her groceries. So if you put her email address in here and you hit save, that is going to send her a notification, and you get a little thing that says so-and-so has opened the key box. Is it 100% reliable in terms of instantaneous notifications? No, it is not, but it's the best thing we've got. Okay. So you might want to advise your client, okay, I'm going to set you up on this, and you'll get notifications when they've opened the key box. And maybe you just want to go do a drive-through of your neighborhood and make sure that there's not still a car in your driveway. And if that's the case, then, if there's no car in the driveway, it's safe to go home. Okay. Any questions on that? Go ahead, Manuela.
So when you put a listing in, does it ask you there the show times? And then if you link the Supra box to that particular listing, will it draw the information as in when people are allowed to get into the house from there? or not?
So the settings for when the lockbox is accessible are automatically preset. This happened to be a one-off because this is the one that's used within the office. So this one is a little weird, but they are automatically set up, I believe, for 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. or it might be 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Can't remember off the top of my head. You can change it. It can be changed. In order to change it, you have to reprogram the box, in which case you have to open the shackle to reprogram the box. Okay, so you reprogram it within the eKey app on your phone, and you change the time frames on your phone, and then you have to go and open the shackle code. And so you physically have to go open this box to reprogram it by opening the shackle code.
Okay, so if I have a listing and they don't want their home shown until 10 a.m. and on the box it says 9 a.m. to keep people out for sure before 10 a.m., I would have to do that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Anybody ever do that?
I've done it before. It's rare, but it can be done, and it's not difficult to do. The thing that you end up doing most of the time is the inspector wants to come at 7 a.m. on a vacant house, and the box isn't scheduled to open until 9. And he's like, well, can you reprogram the box? I can, but I physically have to go there and do it. And depending upon the time frame, I may or may not be willing to do that. So, okay, but it's not like you can sit here in the office and reprogram it and it goes out there and changes the box. You physically have to go open the box to be able to reprogram.
So that is not something that you can input on the MLS or FMLS. It has to be done directly to the box itself.
It has to be done directly to the box itself. But keep in mind, what you can do is enter restrictions on showing time to not even allow the home to be an appointment to be scheduled before 10 a.m. Now,
Okay.
granted, could somebody walk up to the house and still open this door? They could, but 9 times out of 10, theoretically, you should be okay if you just restrict the showing appointments that are available within showing time.
So a few times it has happened that I went to show a home and my appointment was like at 11 o'clock and I tried to open a box at 11:15 and it wouldn't let me open it. Was it just operator error, or is there a thing that won't allow you to get in so many minutes before?
There's nothing that I'm aware of built into the system that has that capability. It might have just been a fluke situation. It might have been 11 was the time frame that they had as the first available appointment, and it just wouldn't let you get in before 11. It's hard to tell. But typically the system does not have that capability to monitor that closely. Okay.
I will say for the new agents, I thought it was going to take a while for the super key. I was nervous about my first showing. I showed up an hour early to the house. It took 5 minutes. You literally it's a Bluetooth. And once you get it, you're just like, wow, did I really? And then you just sit in the house for an hour waiting for your clients to show up. So,
remarkably simple. I will tell you one thing. My wife at one point started putting me on the iOS beta, like where you get the newest and latest and greatest. If you're a tech audio or a tech file or whatever, an IT geek, and you want the latest iOS systems, I did that once and I got an update and I had a showing and I went out to the showing and my super key did not work with the iOS update. And I was stuck. I was literally like, I can't get in the door. I called the listing agent, tried to get in. Listing agent lived an hour away. I literally had to cancel the showing at that particular property because I could not get in. Needless to say, I don't do iOS updates on my iPhone anymore. I only do them after they've been fully tested, vetted, and updated. Okay.
Even if you do them after they have been fully tested, vetted, and updated, you still sometimes have to update the Supra.
There can still be problems.
Disinstall and reinstall it because that happened to me one time.
Yep. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time and attention. I apologize if this was basic level stuff, but again, I'm trying to steer to a broad breadth of experience within this audience. So next time, I'm not sure what we're going to talk about next time. I'll be ready and I'll put it out on Workplace for everybody. All right. Thank you all. Have a great week.